If you love Baltimore sports, you'll love WNST.net.
The Orioles, you brought it up to start with, so I'll bring you to there. As a fan of the Terps, to see demise, trouble, arenas not as full as it was at Comcast, certainly Oriole Park's its own animal at this point. Are you shocked that Baltimore has turned the way it has over the last 15 years? Forget your ownership now. I'm talking about 1996, when the Ravens come off the boat with Art and the Orioles are full, that it could switch. That you've seen that happen. You've seen it happen in a lot of cities, I guess, over the last 15 years. But in Baltimore specifically, where there's so much love for baseball, that is now turned into purple fever.
Well, I guess when I was 18, when I was a kid, I don't know that this was an Oriole town per se. When I was a kid, I'm a lot older than you. It was a Colts town. I don't think that the Orioles were doing what the Colts were doing in the heyday back in the 60s.
No doubt about it.
In the early 70s.
There were a lot of empty pictures of Memorial Stadium with Jim Palmer pitching in playoff games.
And they were winning.
Sure.
Right. They were winning. I mean, for them to beat the Dodgers, Drysdale and Koufax and those guys, and these young upstarts beat them in 66, and then and I barely remember 66. I was 6 years old, but I sure do remember the agony of the Mets in 69, and then coming back and beating the Reds. Those were great days, but I was more of a Colts fan than I was an Oriole fan.
Now, how many do you go to now?
5.
For you, with that experience of seeing what's happened there, and I think it shines even more light. I'll just give you an example. I put out on Facebook, I'm sitting with Steve Bisciotti today. Number one question, will he buy the Orioles? Number one, by far. I had 75 comments, 60 of them said, please tell him to buy the Orioles. And yet, you laugh about it a little bit, but you don't even see the sport as being fair, right? I mean, so from a fan's perspective, you're kind of screwed from the get-go because the Yankees and the Red Sox are going to have more money.
Kind of, yeah.
There's no way to fix that, is there, for that league? It's too far gone.
Yeah, you can't put bantamweights up against heavyweights and expect people to be engaged for extended periods of time. You might be interested. I think the Orioles are capable, like Tampa Bay, of rising up and winning a wild card or maybe winning a division, but they're going to be few and far between. It's a very difficult business.
And even though that would bring you competition and more skyboxes and advertising, all that, I think you would still take great pride in going and seeing a World Series game in Baltimore one day.
Yeah, I'd take it. Even though it might not work, even though it might not be in my financial best interest, I'm not in this to make money either. So I think we hold our own, and I think our fans' passion for the Orioles' success wouldn't diminish their passion for us.
So you say you're not in this to make the money. The success is all in winning at this point for you, right? Because winning makes money, right?
Winning makes a little more money.
Just a little, though.
Yeah, really, just a little. I mean, you go on away games, playoff games, and you really lose money. You get a home game, you make money because there's, you sell tickets. But other than that, winning doesn't really generate. It generates fans. It generates security for me. It generates long-term security. The more we win, the more passionate our fan base, the more our fan base grows in the battleground, Howard and Anne Arundel, South and Northern PG and Montgomery. Those are people moving in from all over the country, and they might not be able to go to their Houston Texans game anymore because they've been transferred to DC.
Sure.
But that's a battleground area. When those people move in, I want to give them a choice, and I want them to like the Ravens more than the Redskins.
18 games. We've heard about the injuries, and there's revenue there. So if we're talking about ways to grow the revenue, I hate the preseason games. Everyone I know, has disdain for painful price and all that sort of thing. But there's the coaching side of it that they need these games to get guys ready to play. At what point will we see another push for 18 games from within this circle and the pushback that's going to happen from the players at some point?
I think one of the smartest things that Roger and the negotiators did was take that provision that we had in the old CBA, which was a unilateral right of us to impose an 18-game schedule on the players. And when we redid the deal, Roger gave up that power and said it will now be a negotiated portion of the CBA. And by doing that, we put it back in the hands of the players. And so now nobody likes to be told what to do. So I want when it's said and done, I want the players to look at the pro formas and look at the difference. And we're not going to charge more for the tickets, obviously. What we're going to do is get better TV deals because we're putting on more regular season games. And so if the players are sharing that, essentially half of it, then they're going to be able to see what that does for their career. And if you make more money playing 18 games, does it really matter whether you play 9 years or 10 years? If your career is 9 or 10 years,
right,
you make the same amount of money in 9 years that you would have made in 10, and you play the same amount of games in 9 years that you would have played in 10. So there is no difference.
Will the Players Association see it that way ever? Will they ever?
I think they will.
You think they will? You think it's inevitable? Would you use that strong a term?
No, that would maybe be a little too forward of me to say it's inevitable. All I'm saying is that there is no more wear and tear as long as they are making a proportionate amount of money to play 2 extra games a year. Then then the argument of how tough it is going to be up to them to decide.
Back to the fans and going to games and watching on television. I have fallen in love with Red Zone. I think like most people have, and I love when we play Monday night. I love our bye week. I just love sitting on the couch because I'm with you every week. Wherever you are, I am. If there's a game, I'm on a plane. I love sitting at home, and that's something I think people like you and I that are at every game, and people in the league, never sit at home and just watch TV all day, but that's the common experience. For you, it's almost become so comfortable with flat screen TVs and plasmas. I think that's one of your biggest challenges is keeping people wanting to come to the games. Yeah. Is that something that gets talked about a lot here?
Oh, sure.
Because the TV does such a good job. It's such a great game for television.
Yeah, but it's like watching a hot air balloon race on TV or being in one of the balloons. I mean, walk through the parking lots and sit in the stadium. There is no experience like that. You don't get that. And I understand that 90% of our fans either can't afford it, have other priorities that they want to spend their money on, or aren't interested in doing that. But I know that there are friends, high school, college friends, brothers, sisters, that is their guaranteed way of socializing with their family. Life is busy, you end up getting married, you're working 60 hours a week, you've got kids, you're raising kids. But when you get to come together on that Sunday afternoon and hang out and cook hot dogs in the parking lot and then go in and cheer and be a participant of that madhouse, you don't get that at home. And maybe if you've never been there, then you don't appreciate it for what it is. But I don't see many fans, though it is a huge concern and we have to do everything we can to keep it a great experience. I don't see fans selling their tickets and staying home. I don't see a lot of fans. We've got like a 98.7, 98.5% renewal rate every year. And most of those people move out of town or they get divorced. I mean, legit
have a
reasons.
financial
We're
challenge.
talking challenge one way or the other. But it isn't, I'm tired of going and having all that fun. It usually is something else that kicks out those 1,000 people out of 70,000, and we've got 1,000 wanting to be a part of it.
If you love Baltimore sports, you'll love WNST.net.